I'd like to see a young black kid like make the tour in my lifetime. I will cry that day.
My name is Mikey February and I'm a surfer. The first time I went surfing, my dad took me a couple times.
We'd spend like an hour driving to the beach.
I remember clearly, like, he'd push me in waves and I'd be like, nah.
As a dad, I wasn't very successful in it. 15 minutes later, he would tell me that, hey Dad, I'm ready to go home.
Maybe just because it was my dad and I was like super close to him that I like, attitude that you have towards your dad sometimes, you're like, nah, I don't want to do it.
It was a bit disappointing.
And then when I was about 7, I went for surf lessons at Gary Surf School. First lesson like onshore Muizenberg. I think I was with my friends too, so I was like, nah, I'm gonna do it. Pushed me into my first wave and stood up. But then from there on, he took me surfing and I surfed.
When I started surfing, it was in that whole apartheid era and race was a big thing. I think one of my worst experiences was when we did a road trip down the coast and we went past Big Bay in George. And I decided just to go for a quick paddle. I didn't know much about the place. When I was in the water, these kids started circling me. At first you don't notice, but then when it hits you, you realize that something's drastically wrong here. And then they started telling me that, look, you can't really surf here. And all I wanted to do is catch a few waves and enjoy it. As I was exiting the water, I noticed there's a concrete wall in Big Bay and with graffiti on it. And the graffiti said, "Welkom in die Vaderland." Welkom in die Vaderland means welcome to the homeland. A statement that a lot of Afrikaners used back then to sort of mark their territory. It wasn't a place where people of color were welcome. And yeah, I left that incident behind me and moved on from there.
I remember I won a camera phone in a surf contest when I was 14.
He was so happy because it was his first cell phone.
And I went to the mall with it and I was walking around after the movies and one of the security guards was like, oh, you stole this phone or whatever. And my mom got real pissed and I think she got the guy fired. But
I always say to him that if you're in the water and something bad happens, rather get out of the water, come home, because you can always go back tomorrow and that person won't be there.
Besides that, I grew up with friends of, you know, all shapes and sizes and yeah.
You couldn't have written the script for how Mikey February made the tour. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Just watching his rhythm on a wave, it's just distinctly some African shit that he does, you know? It's a dance.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing for us as a country and for the sport. It shows that things are moving forward.
Coming from South Africa and being, you know, the color that I am, I feel just to be another South African is a special achievement for me. And that's how I think of it. There's Brazilians and stuff who are even darker than me. And, you know, those guys have grown up with some pretty hard times. I grew up super privileged and with all the opportunities in the world from my parents.
Now there's a bunch of young kids who are like, oh, I could do that. I'm ready for the African storm.
Another thing for me I'd really like to do is just kind of put my own little mark on surfing, I guess. Just be myself. And yeah, I'd just hopefully get other people psyched to surf. With the privilege of being on the world tour and sort of stage that puts you on to be able to be an influence to, you know, whether it be South Africa or the rest of the world. I feel like it's important to give back as much as possible and try and have a positive impact. Do some work with Waves for Change and it's pretty amazing what they're doing and trying to help kids who are previously disadvantaged or living in some pretty hectic areas of South Africa and Africa. I definitely want to try and shed a little bit more light on the talents and the people and the uniqueness of Africa because I think there's so much potential for growth and just positive impact on different people's lives.
I think he has an opportunity to storytell and open people's eyes to African surfing and make people want to go there. I think he's going to make people curious about Africa.
There's so much to be thankful for, and there's so many other people in the world who don't have as much, but they're still happy. So yeah, just be happy. There's no reason not to be.